Hello Orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Today, this video I have brought to you something old, something new, but nothing blued for the new year. We're going to be taking a look at a couple of my orchids that are either in bloom, in spike, or in buds. This red Oncidium twinkle is currently blooming, but it's coming to the end of its bloom cycle. A lot of the flowers are starting to drop, so I've moved it from its original display position to the bottom rack of my shelf because it has a liner, so as the flower drops, I don't have to pick them up one by one. I can use a mini vacuum to vacuum up the flowers. This one is Oncidium Twinkle, the white variety. Again, I am a huge fan of Oncidium Twinkles. I'm sure many of you are also big fans of this particular orchid type because of its fragrance and because of its charm. When they have multiple bloom spikes going at the same time, it's just such a show, and their fragrance is so sweet and charming. I right now only have the red and white varieties. I have a total of four. So two of each. I'm really hoping that I get to find the yellow variety and the cinnamon variety very soon. I would love to have all kinds of Oncidium twinkles because they're just that wonderful. Now let's take a look at my Telumnias. The two that you're seeing have been featured. They were in their faux bloom, so I believe I took a quick video on their new bloom upon my trip to Asia, my trip from Asia. Right, I came back home to their bloom. When I left, they were still in buds. But the white one is fading pretty quickly, and the red one, surprisingly, 3 flowers have dried up already, but it holds its shape really well. So I'm thinking after the 2 flowers, the last 2 flowers are completely dry, and if they still hold their shape, I'm gonna actually keep the spike, and then I will only cut it when it's completely dry, and then I will find a small vase that's just the right size, and put them in to preserve them. Because it's rare, because usually with Phalaenopsis, for example, the flowers, you don't really get to keep the flower because they kind of wither away and they then curl up, become really dry, unless you press them and put them in a book or something, and then it keeps their shape really well flat. Right? So I don't know. Let me know if you have any experience with preserving flowers any other way other than pressing them really flat between pages of your book. Now, can you guess what this is? It's just something that I am growing. I only have one of this. The rest is orchid. But let's see if you have good eyes and can take a guess on what this plant that you're seeing is. It looks pretty cool, pretty zen, but it's something really common. Now, let's look at my Schilleriana. Look at the leaves. The mottled leaves are just so gorgeous. And this variety, I think it's TKP variety, the leaves are more silvery than having more greener stripes or spots. But I have seen some really silvery leaf varieties from the Philippines. I think Schilleriana originates from the Philippines, and they have a couple different strength, different varieties. But this one is somewhere in the middle. Not too silvery, but it's not too green either. And as you can see, it's spiking. This is the first spike for this particular orchid, so I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm trying not to move it around, and I have staked it since my last update on this orchid because now it's elongating and I want to make sure that it has a cascade flower spike when it's in bloom, so hopefully this would achieve it. And I heard the trick is not to move it, so that way it's always growing toward the sun, facing the same direction, so that way it would have that cascade looking But it also depends on how long the spike is, I suppose. Now, let's take a look at my new adventure. These um, Catasetum or Signodes. Um, but I really want to talk about this one. This one came in buds. It originally had two buds, but the smaller bud blasted as expected. But this one, the bigger bud of the two, when it came to me, is developing and is getting plumper and plumper or more plump. So I'm looking forward to its bloom. I cannot take credit for it, but I sure will definitely enjoy it as much as my own bloom. It's gonna be the first ever Catasetum bloom in this household, so I'm really, really excited. And I think um, the color is a a bright green slash yellow. Now this one is my No ID rescue Frau from I think summer 2016. It's spiking. It's the first spike ever for this plant since the rescue, and look at the roots. It is just growing very well. And I grow this one hung on the side of my growing shelf, my grow space, and it's actually liking it. And the media that I use really is nothing special. It's a little bit of moss on top, but then inside the media, it's a mixture of moss, I believe a couple lava rocks, and a couple bark chips that was left over. That's pretty much it. And every time I water it, I actually use the same size of the cup that it's sitting in and soak it. And as you can see, this is just a view to give you a sense of where I put this one in my sunroom. Overall, I'm really happy. I'm really excited that it's spiking. That means I've done something right for this particular rescue. Now, this is one of my favorite orchid. It's the Dragon Tree Eagle crossed with Tetraspis C1. And here is the bloom, the previous bloom. It has random yellow petals and yellow or red sepals. It can be random. It doesn't always grow the same way, so it may have to do with light and temperature fluctuation. So every time, supposedly, you should be getting something different, like the original Tetraspis C1. The fragrance is really, really strong, both day and night. Most fragrant orchid are usually fragrant in the morning, except Nodosa, which is fragrant at night. But this one is fragrant all day long. So I'm really, really excited for it to rebloom for me again. Anyway, I hope this video is interesting to you. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, comment down below and let me know. With that said, I hope to talk to you soon in my next video. Happy 2018, everyone. Ciao.